Oh, hi there. There is no franchise that has seen the highest highs and the lowest lows quite like Star Wars, and some of these low points have come in the form of movies, games, and TV shows that we will never experience, whether they've gone missing, been cancelled during development, or for whatever reason, just never released. I won't be covering the infamous Star Wars Holiday Special or Return of the Jedi Ewok Adventure, since even though both of these have been buried by George Lucas, fans have still gotten their hands on them. This video was made because of fan suggestions, so if you have an idea for a video, let me know in the comments or on Twitter at LostMediaMike. So here are my favorite pieces of lost, cancelled, and unreleased media of the Star Wars franchise. Star Wars City, 1985. Star Wars City 1985 is a mysterious movie that came to the internet's attention through a vague IMDb page that has attracted the interest of the Star Wars community, popping up on forums, being covered by YouTubers, and mentioned on the Star Wars iceberg. The initial thought was that this post was fake, something that's very easy to do on IMDb, but eventually a handful of mentions of the movie and even stills were uncovered. Based on our current information, the movie is a lost 1985 made-for-TV documentary following Hans Leischlinger as he visits Colorado Springs, dubbing the town Star Wars City due to its involvement in the United States Space Command, referring to the Strategic Defense Initiative in the 80s, nicknamed the Star Wars program. If any of this is true, it means the movie has no relation to the Star Wars franchise, which could be the reason it's lost. There's absolutely no proof of this, but I love the idea that Lucasfilms might have sued this movie so hard over the use of the name Star Wars that it became lost.
George Lucas gonna sue somebody.
I found a few links to the movie that seem to be fake, but if anyone can find this film, please let me know on Twitter and upload it to YouTube.
The next chapter in the Star Wars saga, Revenge of the Jedi.
Star Wars: The Lost Cut. It's often said that Star Wars was saved in the editing room. The movie's production was tumultuous to say the least, and the film went through a number of different cuts, including the original version, now dubbed The Lost Cut. In 1977, after filming was complete, editor John Jimson made a very rough cut of the movie at the request of George Lucas. Over the course of just a few days, Jimson produced a 13-reel black and white 35mm work print, simply titled The Star Wars. This rough cut was done with unfinished special effects, no music, no sound effects, and featured 30 to 40% alternate takes than what we saw in the final film. Lucas thought the movie was cut too slow, with scenes taking too long and lacking the excitement and thrill he wanted from Star Wars. In one glaring example of the strange pacing, the lost cut interrupts the opening scene of Vader boarding Leia's ship to show Luke moisture farming before returning to the scene. Lucas would end up firing Jimson and hiring a new editing team that would go on to win an Academy Award for their work on the film. But the original lost cut of the movie has never been released to the public. But the thing about this lost cut is that it's not actually lost. It is still stored in the archives of Lucasfilms and has likely been digitized at this point. Despite the cut being readily available to Lucas and now Disney, only a few scenes and stills have been released, and nearly 45 years later, it seems very unlikely that we will ever see the lost cut of Star Wars.
The Senate will decide your fate.
I am the Senate.
Revenge of the Sith, unreleased, deleted scene. Besides the lost cut, there are a few deleted scenes from the franchise that for whatever reason have never been released on the many Star Wars re-releases. I'm guessing George Lucas was too busy vandalizing the original trilogy to bother with them. Some of my favorite unreleased cut scenes are the scene with Luke getting a face mask to help recover from the Wampa attack, the cut Lightbulb Man, and the unused Rogue One scenes from its trailer. But in my opinion, the most interesting comes from Revenge of the Sith. Near the end of the film, when Mace Windu confronts Palpatine leading to their duel in Palpatine's office, there's an unreleased alternate version that has Palpatine using Anakin's lightsaber against Windu. The alternate take saw Anakin taking a more passive role in the fight, letting Palpatine defeat Windu completely by himself, where in the final film, Anakin helps by attacking Windu, a move much more fitting with his shift to the dark side. The funniest part about this scene is that it actually appears in the final movie. For just a split second, you can see Palpatine holding Anakin's saber. The blade is edited to be red, of course, but the hilt is clearly that of Anakin's. More of the scene is briefly shown in the DVD commentary taken from a behind-the-scenes recording. Why this scene, along with other unreleased deleted scenes, has never been shown is a complete mystery, especially since completely unfinished scenes have been released in the past.
There is something you should know about us, Lone Star.
I am your father's brother's nephew's cousin's former roommate.
What's that make us?
Absolutely nothing.
Star Wars Uprising. Star Wars Uprising was a mobile game developed by Kabam for iOS and Android. After a beta in the summer of 2015, the game was officially released in September of the same year. The game's story takes place directly after Return of the Jedi, dealing with the aftermath of the fall of the Empire in the Anawat sector, where Imperial Governor Adelhart refuses to accept the death of Sidious and Vader means the end of the Empire, and locks the sector down. A small group of resistance fighters in the blockade band together to take down Adelhart and free their sector. In-game, players can make their own avatar, choose from 5 different classes, buy upgrades, build a crew, and play with up to 4 other players. And the craziest part of this is the game is still official canon. But in November 16th, 2016, the game was officially taken offline and has never surfaced again. We can still read the game's story online, but we will never again get to experience this piece of Star Wars lore.
Too accurate for sand people. Only Imperial stormtroopers are so precise.
LEGO Star Wars 3: The Clone Wars Beta. To promote 2011's LEGO Star Wars 3: The Clone Wars video game, LucasArts released an MMO Clone Wars game in January 2011. The online game was a 2D LEGO side-scroller with very little core gameplay. There were a few mini-games like Capture the Flag, but the game mostly served as a commercial for the upcoming console game. The game featured a ton of playable characters across the entire franchise that could be unlocked by collecting LEGO studs, completing tasks, through cheat codes, and even by sharing the game on Facebook. Like so many other entries in this video, the game was shut down after Disney acquired the franchise. We have a few videos of the game, but the assets have never surfaced. The Lost Media Archives claimed that the game was uploaded in 2019, but I can't get the game to work in the link they provided. Let me know if any of you can figure out how to get it to work, so we can decide if this game is actually found or not.
It's like poetry, so if they rhyme, every stanza kind of rhymes with the last one. Hopefully it'll work.
Star Wars Underworld. Of all the Star Wars media cancelled and scrapped after the Disney acquisition, Star Wars Underworld might be the most fruitful. Production on the series dates back to 2005 when it was announced at Star Wars Celebration 3. Over the years, George Lucas would describe the show as being live action, set between episodes 3 and 4, dark and gritty, and one show that was split into 4 shows, focusing on different characters. Characters that were thrown around as possibly being included were Han, Chewie, Lando, Boba Fett, C-3PO, and Palpatine. Lucas would also describe the show as more talky. It's more of what I would call a soap opera with a bunch of personal dramas in it. It's not really based on the action films from the 30s. It's actually more based on the film noir movies of the 40s. In 2012, after almost a decade in production, the show would officially be announced as Star Wars Underworld. The production team had over 100 episodes planned, with 50 additional scripts completely finished. The show was so promising that even after the Disney takeover, the series was still planned to be made as late as 2015. While it's very unlikely we will ever see a show called Star Wars Underworld, I mentioned earlier that this is the most fruitful scrapped project, and that's because stories that were originally pitched for Underworld would eventually become Rogue One and Solo: A Star Wars Story. With over 150 stories ready to be made, I'm sure we'll be seeing the adventures from Star Wars Underworld for years to come.
But I was going into Toshi Station to pick up some power converters.
Star Wars Attack Squadrons. Star Wars Attack Squadrons was a free-to-play browser game developed by Area 52, released in beta form in early 2014. The game had players piloting ships in an open battle arena, playing as either the Rebel Alliance or the Galactic Empire. Based on the known footage of the game, you could choose between an X-Wing, Y-Wing, and TIE Interceptor, using money to upgrade your ship, with up to 16 players in a single match. On May 23, 2014, the game's website announced, "After much consideration, we've decided to cease development so we can focus on other Star Wars experiences. We truly appreciate the time you spent engaging in the beta." Since its cancellation, the beta has never leaked and likely never will, since in 2020, Star Wars Squadrons was released, which seems to be a much more fleshed out and robust game based on the same premise as Attack Squadron, though there's never been any official statement on a direct influence.
Hey you guys, what if the movie sucks?
Star Wars 1313. This one is probably the most famous cancelled Star Wars game following the franchise's purchase by Disney, and along with the cancelled Darth Maul game, is just painful to think about. Star Wars 1313 was a third-person shooter developed by LucasArts following Boba Fett exploring the underground of Coruscant, known as Level 1313. The plot would finally give Boba Fett a full backstory, taking a darker approach to the franchise. The game was announced in June 2012 on Game Trailers TV, showing off a short demo. That same year, both a demo and trailer were shown off at E3. The hype was unbelievable, the game looked so cool, we finally got to see Boba Fett again, and we were finally getting a gritty Star Wars installment. While Disney assured us their acquisition would not affect the game, in 2013, 1313 was officially put on hold, and that same year, LucasArts was shut down, with Disney deciding all Star Wars games should be made by EA. No playable build has ever been released, and while the game was not even near completion, we know a playable build of at least the demo does exist based on the E3 demonstration. Hopefully, with the release of the Book of Boba Fett, Disney will finally give us a new game starring the iconic bounty hunter.
You're his granddaughter. You are a Palpatine.
The Rise of Skywalker, JJ Cut. So this entry probably isn't real, but it still needs to be mentioned. Just by watching Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker, you can tell the movie's production was a disaster and the film was massacred in the editing room. The messy state of the final film, along with a post on the r/saltier than crate subreddit, has led fans to believe there exists an alternate, likely better cut of the movie, dubbed the JJ Cut after the film's director, J.J. Abrams. But in reality, the existence of this cut is almost based solely on wishful thinking and the unverified Reddit post on a subreddit that's basically meant to complain about the flaws of the franchise. Though the movie was bad, and we know it underwent a lot of changes in pre- and post-production, there's little to no evidence of an alternate cut of the movie. At the same time, people, including myself, said the exact same thing about the Snyder Cut before it was released. So only time will tell if this fabled Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker JJ Cut, is real.
Just like the simulation.
Star Wars Battlefront 3. After the success of 2005's fantastic Star Wars Battlefront 2, developed by the legendary Pandemic Studios, a sequel seemed like the obvious decision. LucasArts decided to go with Free Radical Design, another legendary yet ill-fated studio, to make the follow-up. The game was in development for 2 years, but in 2008, relations between Free Radical and LucasArts began to deteriorate, resulting in around 160 Free Radical employees losing their jobs during the 2008 holiday season at the height of the global recession. At this point, the project was dead. Since 2008, parts of the game had begun to leak, including game models, a phone recording of an internal gameplay trailer, the 2012 discovery that Star Wars files were present on Resident Evil Operation Raccoon City that are speculated to have been from Battlefront 3, and in 2016, an early Xbox 360 build of the cancelled game was leaked. This leaked build is about 8 months older than what we know is the final build of the game before its cancellation. If this final build is ever uncovered, the game can officially be considered found, but will forever be unfinished.
I don't like sand. It's coarse and rough and irritating, and it gets everywhere.
Star Wars Detours. Star Wars Detours was a really interesting project. Announced in 2012 at Star Wars Celebration 6, the CGI TV show was meant to be a sort of satire of the franchise set between episodes 3 and 4. The show looked pretty interesting. The project was directed by Todd Grimes, utilizing writers from Family Guy, Robot Chicken, Peaky and the Brain, Regular Show, SpongeBob, and the Venture Brothers, featuring some of the original Star Wars voice cast, along with voice actors from Star Wars parodies like Seth Green as Obi-Wan and Seth MacFarlane as Palpatine. 39 episodes of the series were made, with 62 additional scripts written, speculated for a 2013 release, but was indefinitely postponed in March 2012 by Disney as not to conflict with the release of Episode 7? Which is a ridiculous excuse. Episode 7 came out in 2015. A silly Star Wars cartoon released in 2013 would in no way conflict with the movie. The showrunners still hold hope, claiming the show will be released someday, and recently this has been basically confirmed, with Disney registering the trademark in 2018, an episode leaking in November 2020, and strong industry rumors that the series will be coming to Disney Plus sometime soon.
This is the promise of the Tree of Life.
We celebrate a day of peace.
Black Angel. This last one is probably one of my favorite pieces of lost media. Black Angel was a 1980 short film shown exclusively in European and Australian theaters before Star Wars Episode 5 The Empire Strikes Back. The 25-minute-long short film was written and directed by Roger Christian, financed by George Lucas himself as a gift to Christian for his work as a set decorator on A New Hope, winning an Academy Award for his contribution to the work. The movie's story follows Sir Maddox returning from fighting in the Crusades to see his village destroyed by raiders and people dying from an unknown illness called the Sickness. The knight seeks revenge on the raiders but falls in a lake, nearly drowning before he's saved by a mysterious woman who is being held captive by the Black Angel, a black knight who Maddox vows to vanquish to save the mysterious woman. After the theatrical run of The Empire Strikes Back, Christian's short fell into obscurity, and when he tried to secure a copy for the re-release, the film was nowhere to be found, officially declared lost. The movie would become almost mythical among Star Wars fans, but in December 2011, a 35mm negative of the film was found in the archives of Universal Studios in LA that was promptly returned to the director. With the film in hand, Christian was finally able to restore and re-release his movie, with the help of Athena Studios, the Bay Area Visual Effects Society, and Skywalker Sound. In 2013, the movie was screened for the first time in over 30 years. In 2014, the movie was released on Netflix and the iTunes Store. In 2015, the full film was uploaded to YouTube with an introduction by Christian. That same year, Christian announced his intention to make the short into a feature-length film. There's been no word on the project for years, but fans are still holding hope that one day we'll see Christian's completed vision on Black Angel. Thank you so much for watching. There are obviously so many more pieces of lost, cancelled, and unreleased media from the Star Wars franchise, so if I left out your favorites, let me know in the comments, or you can find me on Twitter at LostMediaMike. This is Mike with All Things Lost. See you soon.